Because we'll be doing things in design that you may not have done before, even if you're working in a program like PowerPoint or Keynote or CorelDRAW, there are certain things that we'll be doing that it's helpful if you know the terms behind them. This will make sense in a minute. Let's start with a basic design glossary. The first thing you might want to look for in your software, in whatever package you end up working in, is called a range. A range is pretty simple. It simply means sending something to the back or to the front. Arranging is what allows us to layer things and have things overlapping one another. So a range is a very important thing to know. You may look in a help menu to find how to arrange items in your particular application. The next thing we'll be doing that will make our work much easier is grouping. Let's say you have a couple of items in your layout, text in a box or text in a circle or whatever, and you want to move them together and keep them together, keep them paired. What we call that, obviously, is grouping. So if you look in your menu, you may find you'll need to find something called group to allow you to do this. And the other very common term and very common function is align, aligning things to the top or to the side or to the left or to the right. Hugely important as well. In every application I've ever used, somewhere in the menu, you're going to find align. This will allow you to align multiple objects to a common axis. Another term we use frequently in design is distribute. Let's say we have a series of items along a horizontal axis, but the distance between the items isn't equal, and we want that distance to be equal. What we look for then is a term called distribute, and you'll find that somewhere obviously as well in your menu. You may have to go to the help menu, but distribution allows us to put things equidistantly along a given axis. Scale, just what it says it is. You're probably already familiar with this, but making things larger and making things smaller, that's simply called scale. There's an interesting thing though, and that is called constrain. Sometimes in some software, when we scale an object up or down, it distorts it because we're only scaling it vertically or horizontally. If we want to scale it proportionally, we want to know about something called constrain. In every package I've ever worked in, we can constrain proportionality when scaling an object by simply holding down the Shift key. So this may be true in the software you're using. If it doesn't work for you, go to your help menu and look for constrain. This will help you scale things proportionally. And then of course, there's rotate. If we want to rotate something left or right, 10 degrees or 30 degrees, we simply look for rotate. Another term is translucency, transparency, or opacity. They're all kind of the same thing depending on where you're coming at it from. And I just ended a sentence in a preposition, didn't I, Quentin? Well, transparency, translucency, opacity, this is all how we talk about the ability to see through one object to another. That's all it is. And we go from 0, which is 100% transparent, you can't see the object at all, to 100, which is 100% opaque. We can't see through the object. This is a hugely important thing to know about, especially when we get to the part of my course where we talk about sublimation and how powerful that can be as a design tool. Just for now, remember that you may need to look for translucency, transparency, or opacity. Another term is crop. Let's say you have a photograph and you decide you want to use only a small part of it in your presentation. You'll simply be looking for a crop tool. Knowing how to use the crop tool, how to get access to it, hugely important as well. You may need to look somewhere in your menu, or there may be actually a tool somewhere in the tool palette for cropping. I want to talk a little bit about color, hue, saturation, and lightness. When people talk about color control in design, there are certain subtexts of that that are important to know about. Hue is simply the color itself. Is it red, blue, or green? Is the hat black or yellow? Hue. Saturation is how vivid, how powerful or raw is that color? And lightness, how much can we read through that color to the background? All ways of talking about color, all good things to know about. If you're manipulating an image, you may see sliders in menus, a little slider bar that lets you adjust the hue, lets you adjust the saturation from 0, which is grayscale, to 100%, which is fully saturated. We'll be talking about color more in a subsequent video. Our glossary is pretty simple. That's about it for now. we won't be doing a lot of high-end graphics work in this course. We don't need to. We can be great designers knowing just the things we've talked about. But the glossary is good to have handy. I'll have that available also on the website, so you can go to the glossary and use it as a reference and know how to do certain things with the graphic elements in your composition. Thanks, and I'll see you soon.